This is a LEIFTECH versus SUMMERBOARD remote comparison. On the top of the screen is a LEIFTECH remote, and on the bottom is a SUMMERBOARD remote. The first thing you'll notice is a difference in form. To me, the best way to describe the difference is that LEIFTECH remote is very two-dimensional, while the SUMMERBOARD remote is much more three-dimensional in form. From the top view, you can see the difference of how the SUMMERBOARD remote has a much more three-dimensional form and is wide enough to grab onto, and tapers down to fit in your hand pretty well. Here's a view from the bottom, where you can really see the shape differences. The LEIFTECH remote has a much more constant form, while the SUMMERBOARD remote tapers down at the bottom. The LEIFTECH remote has a hard plastic texture, and the SUMMERBOARD remote is a combination of hard plastic where the screen is, and a softer silicone grip where your fingers grasp around, which feels and looks a lot better. Similar to the other comparisons between these two products in other videos that I've done, you can see and hear how the SUMMERBOARD is much more solid and well built. Listen to the differences when I tap on them. The Thumbwheel was a great improvement. It now feels much more solid, easier to turn, and larger, which makes it really effortless to use. The LEIFTECH wheel is thinner and requires you to be a little more precise and pay attention to your control. It also slips out easier. The SUMMERBOARD wheel is much more intuitive and doesn't slip out. The LEIFTECH remote also had a safety trigger, which prevented the board from moving unless if it was engaged. I'm really glad they got rid of this entirely, because it was one more thing you had to think about while you rode. The buttons on the SUMMERBOARD remote are all at the base, near the charging port, and they are smoothly built into the body of the remote, which makes them silent. The LEIFTECH remote has a single button for power and pairing. I'll turn on the SUMMERBOARD remote by holding down the power button for about 5 seconds. You can see it's searching for the board signal since the board is not powered on. The lightning bolt shows the remote battery and flashes whenever it's low. I'll pause here to explain how the screen works. It is simply LED lights under a plastic shell, not an actual screen with pixels like your phone. This is great because it works great in sunlight and is much more resistant to drops and hits. This screen will never crack or have pixels die because there aren't any. It feels really cool, and the info that you want from this is really limited, so you don't really need a pixelated screen. I mean, I'm never going to take calls or watch videos on this thing. It's hard to photograph screens, so the best way to describe how it looks to me is like a flat white piece of paper, and not like a backlit pixels. I love the look. Here I'll move it to harsh direct sunlight, and you can see that even the tiny lights are still visible. I've never been unable to see what's going on with this screen. Of course, it looks even better when not in direct sunlight. To compare how they fit in your hand, I've put a wrist guard on to make it more challenging to hold. With the LEIFTECH remote, the more bulky body rubs up against the wrist guard a lot, and it isn't as easy to hold on to. The SUMMERBOARD remote, with the tapered form, as I mentioned before, sits in your hand really nicely. Even with the wrist guard on, it still has a really natural feel with a great control of the thumb wheel. Now for the fun part, riding and checking your speed. When you lift up the remote to look at it, the speed and battery info shows, and when you lower it down, it automatically turns off so it saves remote battery. You can choose miles or kilometers as well. This feature is super cool, and everybody loves speedometers, especially when they change while you're riding. That said, I'm surprised at how rarely I use this feature or even look at the remote because I'm not really worried about the speed limits, and when I'm riding, I just go into snowboard bliss and completely forget about my speed or anything else for that matter. It is super cool, though, to be able to know my speed and battery levels whenever I want.